Well, glad to have you back. You're watching the morning show here on Arise News. A report published by Reuters on Monday stated that the PDP's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar's January visit to the United States was possibly only because of a temporary suspension on a travel ban linked to decade-old bribery scandals he was involved in. Now, while the U.S. government has not commented on Atiku's visit, several U.S. diplomats were quoted by Reuters confirming this story. Joining us now to respond to the article is the Atiku campaign organization's spokesman, Akin Osuntokun. Thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you.
Now, let's quickly start. What's your assessment of this exclusive report by Reuters? Does it put a dampener on Atiku's visit to the U.S.?
Well, you know, it's an exclusive rubbish. I don't think, look, I'm a journalist, and I wrote to the pinnacle of my profession as managing director of News Agency of Nigeria. So the story is not worth the paper on which it is written. And this, you know, you take the totality of this visa controversy into consideration. It is cheapening the American system. I've never heard of anything called temporary reprieve. And anybody who is familiar with obtaining visas for traveling, any frequent traveler will tell you that that is an odd thing. And as I said, it cheapens the American. They are not that infertile, you know, in their process of issuing visas or not. So, look, the story from the beginning to the end actually doesn't make any sense. They refer to the fact of what the allegation that the State Department or members of the Congress were the ones who asked for the waiver. Yet in the same story, spokesmen of both agencies of American government denied ever, you know, seeking any such waiver. So, as I said, I don't think it's worth. And then when you talk of temporary reprieve or whatever it is they are talking about, in the same story, they said that they were granting the reprieve because of the probability that Atiku Abubakar will become the president of Nigeria. So the reprieve that you are granting, is it when he becomes president that the reprieve will lapse? So I don't see how it confounds me. The logic doesn't. I don't see any logic to the story. But more importantly, as I said, is that it cheapens. The Americans are not that cheap. I mean, look, they read things like this and they laugh at what they don't tailor their consular services, you know, to the needs or aspirations of political jobbers or anybody wanting to make a story, you know, out of a non-issue. So, what I've said is plainly stated in the report, and any logical person, you can draw your own conclusions. I've never heard of temporary reprieve or waiver or whatever there's, as I said. Temporary reprieve till when? When he becomes president? So it doesn't, it's illogical, you know, the story is totally illogical.
Well, two lobbyists were mentioned in that report. Holland and Knight was one of them. Do you also deny this report about the lobbyist who was enlisted?
Well, listen. Well, that's part of what I'm saying about cheapening the American system. So all it takes for you to get a visa from the Americans is to hire lobbyists. And look, are they robots? Is the American embassy? You are even implying an element of corruption, you know, in the process of granting visa. If all it takes for you to get an American visa is for you to hire a lobbyist, then it's a sad commentary on the process of. So it cannot be true. You don't hire lobbyists to get a visa. I mean, somebody that, I mean, so as I said, it doesn't make sense. I mean, look, I don't know, you are familiar with traveling. I don't know whether you have hired a lobbyist for you before to get a visa. So, as I said, the whole thing, story, look, just take another look at the story and you wonder where is the logic in all this. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't know. This, look, and the federal and the Nigerian government started the belittling of themselves, over this visa. They were asking the, long before the visa was granted, the government of Nigeria actually issued a statement, threatening that the American government should not give visa to Atiku, that it will imply a bias in his favor. So if the Nigerian government can go to that extent of, and of course the American government called their bluff and granted the visa. So, and since that time, the heavens have not fallen. And while my principal was there, the information minister, Lai Mohammed, went on here to say that, to remember and remind us of a bank investigation in 2009 in Bank PHB, in which something happened there. So, look, it speaks more of, it's a sad commentary. It tells you more about those people making the allegations or sponsoring stories than what all this entails. What you should bear in mind is that America is a very rational society. It has information, it has everything it needs, has more capacity, to do consular investigations in terms of gathering report data and what it wants to do than probably any other country on earth. So that is not a country that you trivialize, the process, their own consular processes. It doesn't make sense. But that is where we find ourselves today.
Okay.
Why not for Reuters? Maybe because I will have attributed it as fake news. But maybe it is. But because it doesn't meet the standards of journalism that one expects from an organization like Reuters.
Okay, Mr. Osuntokun, what is your presidential candidate's official position on the status of his visa? And what type of visa does he hold at this point?
There is no official statement. Forget what. Listen, please. Don't. That is not worth discussion. What is a visa? That you have an official statement on visa. Look, please, I don't know. It's ridiculous. If you want to travel to any country, you get a visa and you go there. If you apply and they deem your application acceptable, that's the end and beginning of the story. How do you have an official statement on visa? Even you can't, what use it is? It's just a piece of, pass or whatever it is that is what you go to do there that matters. It's not when I'm going to America, it's not my passport or my visa that is important. It is what I'm going to do there. So I don't know, it's like the tail wagging the dog. That is the logic of the way, this issue is being handled. What is a visa? People reject visas anyway.
All right, we do know that Reuters is not a peddler of fake news. We could almost regard it as a credible source of information. And that report also mentioned that the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, paid some money to set up meetings with top U.S. officials.
Look, please,
Wouldn't that be regarded as financial inducement?
Excuse me, I don't want to listen, please. Don't peddle this kind of childish rubbish. Yeah, it's true that Reuters is a credible news organization, but that does not mean that they cannot make a mistake. You go and, anybody who reads, that's not a report that Reuters should be proud of. It can controvert almost the relevant, the way it is, even the story is written. It doesn't make sense. I'm not sure, you cannot say that Reuters cannot peddle, they can. They can get it wrong. But it's unfortunate because I should be the last person, questioning the credibility of freedom of information. I don't want to join the President of America in doing that. But in this instance, look, it is not a rumor. You have the fact before you, the story is there. You are attributing that somebody pressurized the government to grant a waiver, whatever it is. And those two institutions deny ever making such. Why would the State Department of the American government and the Congress, why would they deny what they did? look, it's the Americans themselves will feel embarrassed the way people are talking about if you pay. So if you are a terrorist or whatever it is that is banned from America, all what it takes for you is to go and hire a lobbyist, pay the lobbyist $100,000, and then you are given a visa to go to America. It's as illogical as that. You are saying that they don't know, the American State Department or government, they don't know what they are doing. I mean, that they are so corruptible in such a silly manner.
Well, it's good that we're clearing the air on this report, but let's move on to other issues now. I guess today, a group of former military officers endorsed President Muhammadu Buhari for his re-election bid. How does your party perceive this endorsement? 71 of them.
Well, you know, the Buhari government is fond of embarrassing itself. A few days ago, they held a rally in Kano State, on which governors of Niger came to attend. That is the first time in Nigeria. Legally, it may be okay, but politically, look, you know, standards and norms are being breached, you know, with childish impunity in this country. The military officers, if you are contesting for election, who will you wish to come and endorse you? Military officers who took part in the coup. They were military governors, former military governors. And under the worst military dictatorship Nigeria ever experienced, they served under Abacha. That is not a good crowd in which to find yourself. If you are looking for an endorsement, you know, for the people of Nigeria to vote for you, those are one of the worst groups of people whose endorsement you should seek. I mean, I don't know if you are old enough, you know what the Abacha era, what it means for Nigeria. So I find it, you know, funny that anybody seeking endorsement will go to that kind of people to come and give you what. And in any case, this president, of course, says Abacha is his role model. So maybe they serve one another well. You know, it's up to them. But you know, it should alienate that kind of the endorsement coming from that crowd should alienate. You know, not, you know, draw the support of Nigerians. I mean, look, it's an embarrassment. Military dictatorship is the opposite or contradiction of democracy and election and popular support. And not to talk of the worst of that, you know, genre. Military dictatorship has been the bane of this country. It has hampered the development of democracy. And those people who are culpable in that respect, you know, those are the people you are inviting to endorse you. You can see the process of that kind of logic is. But again, I said, look, I'm not surprised that, you know, that they will do that to themselves. It was this same president, the anti-corruption crusader, in the same Kano State, who went there to go and raise the hand of somebody caught a governor that was caught on video, you know, receiving bribe dollars. And then this president, who at any point in time, and his sheepish followers, who say anti-corruption, then you went there to go and raise the hands of somebody, one of the personification of corruption, you know, in the Fourth Republic. So that is APC for you, and that is Buhari for you.
All right, Mr. Osuntokun. In the same vein, leaders of the sixth geopolitical zone endorsed your candidate as well. But the APC have reacted, saying that the endorsement was inconsequential, and saying that the leaders were members of the PDP. What do you have to say about that?
Well, again, that is that's a silly statement. How can they be members of PDP? Look, they were never members of PDP. I don't know what I can recall the names of those people who were there. Ango Abdullahi was nothing near being referred to as a member of the PDP. Same goes for Chief Ayo Adebanjo. Same goes for Chief Edwin Clark. My friend Yinka Odumaki, he was even publicity secretary of CPC at the time, not PDP. So look, these people, the organizations they represent are more. They are one of the. They are in the category of the most enduring institutions that Nigeria has. You know, socio-cultural, Afenifere has been. This is not a run-of-the-mill. These are not all-of-the-mill organizations they represent. I don't see how. And then when these people talk about members of PDP, but don't forget that half of this government, of the Buhari government, really were in PDP. I mean, there are so many of them who came from PDP. And of course, the logic today is that, you know, even though they like to demonize PDP, which does not stand the test of scrutiny, the trend is that those people who are actually found culpable or being investigated for corruption, when they served as PDP elected officials, have found their ways back to APC. And of course, those in PDP today are those who have nothing to fear. You know, who are, you know, so they are the credible ones are in the PDP today. They stayed back. But if you know you have a skeleton in your wardrobe and you are looking for protection, as publicly stated by the chairman of APC, I mean, Adams Oshiomhole, that if you are corrupt and you are afraid, all you need is just to come to APC and they will grant you absolution. So look, it's a slander, it's defamation to refer to these people in terms of moral authority. You know, these are leaders of thought. They have long-standing reputation. This Afenifere, I don't need to tell anybody that. Everybody knows who is who in Nigeria. In Yoruba land today, if you want to, the political party system is relatively new and immature. So if you want to look, those who are representative, those who have been representative, you know, of their people or their constituency, for a long period of time. Afenifere was established in 1951, and it has remained as a frontline organization of the Yoruba people. So how anybody can then refer to the leader or leaders of such organizations as inconsequential or PDP, again, you know, beats my imagination.
All right, now the APC leadership has consistently argued that foreign governments have been interfering in our internal affairs. What's your take on that?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
I said the APC leadership has consistently argued that foreign governments have been interfering in the country's internal affairs. What's your take on that?
Whenever any government starts saying that, you know that government is beginning to or has lost legitimacy. That is what Maduro of Venezuela, that is the language he is also speaking in these past few days. You know, it's a government that has that is losing or fast losing credibility. That comes up, you know, there is this saying that patriotism is the last, you know, buffer of the scoundrel. You know, that is, you know, fake, you know, patriotism. Look, how about the president who brought foreigners to his own campaign? I mean, all what the so-called foreign interference they were complaining about, all what they did was to issue a statement on the basis of what was public, you know, in Nigeria. But look at the other side. They went to the extent of importing governors from Niger Republic. So if you want to talk of foreign interference, again, how do you assess, you know, those two things together? Who is more guilty, you know, between somebody who brought foreigners to his own campaign in something of an advance warning, or maybe how they are going to, you know, import foreigners to come and vote for them, and, you know, compare that to foreign governments or embassies, you know, issuing statements, which Nigeria itself also does. You know, whenever you get a crooked governance, whenever a government or president or whatever is going rogue anywhere in the world, all decent you know, all decent members of the international community, they feel it duty bound, you know, to issue statement, to make a statement, to condemn and criticize what they are doing. That is what What those foreign governments, so to say, the foreign interference they were referring to was the suspension of the unprecedented, act of, impunity of suspending the Chief Justice of Nigeria. That's what they were condemning. So again, look at the merits of the case. Look at all the editorials in Nigerian newspapers and the preponderance of opinion leaders in Nigeria. They condemned what the president did by doing suspending the Chief Justice. So what is so-called foreign interference has amounted to is actually overlapping what Nigerians themselves are saying. So if anybody this government, of course, is in a pitiable minority when it comes to that singular act. There's no reasonable person who endorse or sanction, the process. And look, of course, so this is
all right.
the things we are talking about speak for themselves.
We can take now Akin Osuntokun, Atiku campaign organization spokesman, speaking to us, responding now to Reuters report on Atiku Abubakar's visit to the United States. Thank you for your thoughts.